Hello.
Here we are.
Is where we are. We had an idea. I don't want to call it a game because this is real life and it's actually not funny. But we asked you to send us stories about student behavior. This could be about a class, about a group, like anything. And we are going to decide if it is funny, because it's a lot of times it's funny.
Right.
Bad, where it's just like, that's horrifying, it's bad, why would they do that to you?
Right.
Or concerning for that child and or society.
Right. Okay. I love it.
And in teaching, that Venn diagram has a lot of overlap.
It really does. It's kind of alarming, but you know what? We're here to be judge and jury. We love to be judge.
My dream is to get jury duty. I've never had it.
Really?
Well, that's a lie. I got it once, but it was because I hadn't updated my address, so I couldn't go. So I got jury duty in the mail, and I was like, I don't live there, because it was for my parents' house, so my parents sent it to me, so I couldn't go.
Oh, no.
I had to send them a thing being like, I can't go. And I was like, actually, I was heartbroken. That. My dream is to sit in a government building and think about what someone did. And I actually have a fantasy of being on a jury. What's that movie where the one guy is like, no, we can't convict him, and he convinces all the other ones? It's an old ass movie.
I don't know.
12 Angry Men?
Yeah, probably. That sounds like the perfect title.
I'm looking it up. That's my dream scenario.
I think that'd be really good.
This is a movie from the 1950s. So, spoiler.
If you haven't seen it yet, A, you're a loser.
You just said you hadn't seen it. So the film takes place where one juror is voting non-guilty, and he has to convince the other 11 men that this guy is not guilty. And they're all like, just say he's guilty. We all want to go home. And he's like, no, he's not guilty. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. And he convinces all the other ones of his doubt. And that's my dream, is to be on a jury of that for something comically stupid.
Honestly,
for a traffic ticket.
I could see that. I personally am very excited about this. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
I'm in.
You're in. She's in.
We got a lot. People are very hungry for
quick.
us to speak.
And we didn't think that was going to happen. No offense.
I kind of did, because I know how people feel in their hearts about this. They want to be heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your prompt was so good, being behavior ? And everybody was like, boy, do I have a story for you.
Because that's what I've learned is the sauce with submissions is we have to keep it vague enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it can't be too vague, because then people are like, I didn't know if this was right or not.
Right. Oh my God. And they don't, no offense, you guys sometimes don't follow directions at all.
Me either. So
and
no
me
judgment.
either. We're not mad at you. Not mad. Just confused. Anyways.
We're not mad. We're angry.
I'm downright an angry man. There's 12 of me in my body. And I'm going to quit.
That's how I feel the week before my period, is I'm all 12 jurors like that movie.
Now I need to go. We need to go inside and watch the movie and order Taco Bell.
We're not watching
Bye, you
that
guys.
movie.
We are. I want to see
I had
it.
to watch it at school in high school. I don't need to see that movie again. I'm sorry to old movie lovers. It's boring. I'm sorry. There's no colors. There's no women. There's no explosions. It's boring. I'm sorry.
They kicked ass at the tornado in The Wizard of Oz. They killed it on that one.
The Wizard of Oz fucks. But that one's colorful. And it was that's when they debuted color.
Yeah, that's true.
They were like, hey guys, phenomenal news, we have colors.
Technicolor, no less. They were better than regular color, which I didn't know was the same thing.
Don't they not know how to do that anymore?
I have no idea. I only really recently learned that was a special kind of a color situation.
It's a special technique. I heard the same thing about Technicolor and the way that the animation is done in Shrek 1 and Shrek 2, that which to me is just as historically significant
exactly
as Technicolor, if not more so.
I think Shrek was revolutionary.
Shrek 2 is one of the best movies that's ever been made.
Roll it.
We just insert a clip and it's all 2 hours of Shrek 2. We lose millions of dollars on this podcast because we spent all the money on licensing Shrek 2. But what I heard is both Sorry, she's having an allergic reaction. Isn't that so annoying?
It's not very convenient.
What I heard is that both the Technicolor technique and the technique in Shrek 2, like, no one really knows how to do it. Like, the people that did it aren't working anymore, and, like, no one valued them enough to be like, hey, could you teach us how to do this?
And isn't that America for you? Oh, my God.
Oh, you wanted your nostalgic movie back? Don't know how. Oh. It wasn't in ChatGPT, so they can't figure it out.
Oh, my God. I cannot... Wow. What if we played all of our podcast episodes backwards and it was Shrek 2? If you reverse them all from 2022 backwards... Wait, we've been doing this for a really long time.
We have.
It was literally October of 2022.
And I'm not joking. When I was driving, I don't know where the fuck I was today. I went to Beverly Hills and then got severely lost and was just around for a while.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think it was the street, but I was driving down one of those palm tree streets.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I wish Frazz was driving so I could stick my head out the window like Donkey.
Oh my God, that would be so fun. The fact that we're also, I mean, I'm stone cold sober right now.
I've had one sip.
We're just like we're high on life.
I always think about that meme you tagged me in like a couple days before I got here one time where it was like, I think I'm looking forward to cracking up. There's a bug.
Kill it.
I didn't kill it, but it's right there.
W grabbed a dead one of those and brought it to my husband, and they have furry bellies. And
It's dead.
Oh no, rip. W loves them and carries them in her little baby ravioli fist, but they're like honking. So big ass bug. I think I sent you a picture because in the other hand she had a bee that she found. My husband panicked and threw the beetle into the bush, and she freaked out, and she found another one because Orkin had come and they just all died. They were just dead giant those everywhere.
How could you possibly bring Orkin to home? They like the lights. And this one is dead. We might have to shut the door and have reflection.
No! You hit me so hard in the face!
Oh, it hit you in the face?
Yes, run it back, Myles! Run it back! It is literally fighting for its life because it ran so hard into my freaking face. My ass is out. Like, everything is happening so much right now.
You can't really see your ass if it's making you feel better. The ruffle is really covering it.
Oh my God. Okay.
We respect all of God's creatures
Oh my God.
in the Teacher Quit Talk cinematic universe.
They're a nice bug. I don't know why it had to run into my face and make it horrible for me.
I think there was one time I was recording in here and they were doing that to the light. I think it's the light. Like they're very excited about light.
You're going to see some reflections, okay?
Sorry.
Can you grab that one? Everybody, suspend disbelief that we're not in a room with giant lights. Okay, here we go. That was horrifying.
It kind of looks like a disco ball. I don't think it's a problem.
Oh, my fucking back. Okay, guys.
She's a mess, just by the way.
Whoa. That was crazy.
And that is often like teaching.
That is exactly what teaching feels like.
I have been derailed from a critter or a crawly or a creepy many a times.
I've told the podcast this, but you're a new bunch. You don't know. I want to tell them about the mouse. Do you remember this?
Oh, God.
Okay.
Oh.
So I taught the year I taught third grade was like the most catastrophic year of my life. And the internet was so mean about it because they were like, this bitch got pregnant and she is so not fun anymore. And I was like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I'm having a bad time. I was so pregnant and so sick.
You being pregnant made it way worse,
but
that would have been a bad time regardless. Like it was not, the pregnancy was not the core issue. It was an amplifying factor.
Exactly. And you want to hear about behaviors on the behavior episode. I had a class of third graders who in their kindergarten year were home. They were home. So it wasn't even like whatever. They just didn't have social skills, but they were all in the same group, and the group wasn't working. It was like a lot of like conflict, and people were like, by the time they got to me, they were physically fighting constantly. And when I'm saying physically fighting, I mean there was blood. There was like punching, blood, pushing. It was insane.
the bloodborne pathogens training though, so you should be good.
I did it.
So it's actually fine.
Yeah, I could recite it to you probably. I just know it so well. I definitely didn't put it on while I sat at my classroom and vlogged.
I know I've only worked at fucked up ass places because I've never had to do it.
Let's unpack that. But so anyways, so all that to say, this class they had been together. And when it came time for me...
And I don't like when we keep them together year after year after year. They get into a sibling dynamic that I don't appreciate.
They had split them apart, and I later talked to their kindergarten teacher who told me that he had to go to full-ass therapy to unpack his year with them. And for some reason, when I switched schools, I was kindergarten, obviously, and I have a lot of experience in
I forgot you switched
trauma-informed
schools, and that's
teaching.
why this happened.
Yeah, because I was in a charter, public charter, but still a charter, and I wanted to be in a district, and I lived in the district that I was teaching. Like, I loved it there. I was very whatever. Well, I have a lot of like trauma-informed teaching practice, and like I've like been trained, blah, 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 and I've always taught inclusion, and whatever. So they thought... For some reason, they would take that roster, which was, I found out later, a roster that was created from all students that had been passed away from other teachers. Like, teachers had been like, nope.
For lack of a better term, it was the misfits.
It was people that they had said they didn't want any of these kids in their class. They made a class of those, gave them to me because they thought that I would be able to handle it, which like I am great with behaviors, but when you hit like 8 IEPs in a classroom and it gets a little sticky.
This is a very common trap where like teachers who are very good at their jobs end up getting punished for their jobs. So you need to practice weaponized incompetence. Because that happened to me my first year. Like they gave me a huge class that was like 34 kids, which is like very much not okay in that district. That district, the one thing I will give them is we had pretty small class sizes for the most part. But I had this one giant class and they were like, the principal was like, oh, I came to check on you. And then when he saw I was handling it, I felt like it was just like, oh, she's good. Like she handled it. And then they would continue to give me kind of rough situations. And then at a different school, I didn't do anything, but I just picked up a vibe that they like thought I couldn't handle a tough class. And then they kept giving me like pretty easy classes. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. Seriously.
I was like, I'm not gonna hear shit out of me. Like,
yeah. And like amongst ourselves, year to year, there would be like somebody had a really bad year, and then when we're making the classes for next year, we would literally be like, here's a softball class, you know what I mean? Because you suffered. But these kids, like I did really love them. It gets to a point when
they were not in the right environment, in my opinion.
They're not in the right environment. And it wasn't fair to them. They weren't.
Especially when they're bouncing off each other.
Yes.
That's what'll get you, is it's not even any one individual kid. It's like the concoction of energy that exists betweenst them.
And it's hard too, because you can't, if you have like 6, you can spread them out, one at each table. Yeah. But if you have more than that, they are at the same table regardless. Like you cannot spread them out enough.
It's all about your ratios of like children who are unwell and not thriving compared to children that are.
And the year before that, I had like sticker charts that they make you do. I don't know if you guys have had that, where it's like a token board or whatever. I had one kid on a 5-minute timer and one kid on a 1-minute timer for his token board. And I literally would be teaching phonics with 2 fucking timers on my hips, trying to manage an entire rug. And this was like
1-minute timer in 3rd grade is crazy.
No, it's kindergarten.
Oh, this was kindergarten.
That was the year before. So I've been in the trenches. Like I know what the trenches are. But this was just there was so much blood. So anyways, whatever. That year, if you saw me on the internet and you bitched about me being pregnant, it wasn't me being pregnant. It was... And there was a gas leak in my town that year. Do you remember that?
And what if it was because she was pregnant?
What if it was?
And what if it was? That actually kind of makes you more of a dick.
You know what?
Kind of makes you more of a dick.
I kind of want to pull up all of my videos from 2021 and go into the comment section and be like, hey, I remember you.
Can we make an episode doing that on like your most hated videos?
Yeah. And I'm going to go in because I was
full profile picture will be displayed.
Oh my God. I'll find your fucking LinkedIn. I was such a different person. I was so like being perceived on the internet is so weird and hard.
The gas leak.
The gas leak, like I was
just
wearing
the gas leak of it all.
Oh my God, it was horrible. But like, you know, when you're starting on the internet, like you absorb a lot of stuff. So I was like in a bad place. Now I'm not. I should go back and like punch them in the face. But anywho, so the mouse. So behaviors. So I thought that they were gaslighting me because sometimes they would do that for fun. And I was teaching, and I can't say that the critter derailed me like the bug did, but they were like, Miss, there's a mouse. And I was like, you guys, we need to learn fractions. Like academically, we got to lock in. And I straight up multiple times was like, I'm not buying it about the mouse. Okay, you guys let it go. I was making a video at my desk after school, like I often did, and I had the phone here, and behind me I saw something go brrr, and I was like, oh, it's real.
They were right.
They were not lying. So I tried to fashion a trap. It was a very well-viewed video on TikTok. Never found it. So after I gave birth, I come back to clean out my classroom because I'm moving schools, whatever. And I pull out at the front of my room, I had like a 4 cube from IKEA with like things in it that I used. But in the bottom was a snack drawer. And it was the mouse's home. I mean, it was just filled. It was a rat's nest that it had made.
That's disgusting.
But it was nice. And the custodians had brought 5 glue traps to my room. And that was their solution. And thank God the mouse never did that because, like, can you imagine you're teaching and all of a sudden they're out in the open. You can
the glue traps?
They just had them around. So it's like you could have, if a mouse had run onto one in the middle of your lesson, what are you going to do?
It's now a lesson about the cycle of life.
Anyways, so we know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. So thank you for submitting your behaviors.
If you feel bad about gaslighting them that there was no mouse, I may have done the same thing with January 6th.
How do you do that? Oh, you thought they were lying?
In my old school, there was like no cell phone service in my classroom at all.
See, my old ass is like, what would you have done on 9/11?
And like, they also blocked a lot of things on the Wi-Fi. And so like, in my defense, this did not go on long. So our school day ended at like 2:10. I don't remember the exact timeline of what happened on January 6th, but like, it was just the beginning parts of it. And the way the kids explained it to me was not what was happening. Like, they just explained it in a way, like, they didn't say, like, there's political unrest and this group, like one of them just goes, oh, a bunch of people descended into the Capitol building. And I was like, no, they didn't, because we had like 15 minutes left of class. And I was like, what are you talking about? Let's finish this. And they were like, no, they're talking about it on Snapchat. And I was like, stop, we're not doing this right now. And like, I couldn't even look up to like see what they were talking about. And I was trying to finish something. And so like, we finished it. And then I sent them all on their merry way to go home. And then I was checking my phone as I went to the car. And that's when it was like really starting to get scary. Mm-hmm. Like, they were alerting me when people were starting to walk to the Capitol. And that's when I was like, but they, again, in my defense, they said people are talking about it on Snapchat.
Yeah. Well, Eric Swalwell loved Snapchat and he was a congressman.
Yikes. And then when I was walking to my car, I was like, oh shit. And then like the next day I was like, you guys, sorry.
So sorry about that. That was,
I was like, let's watch CNN 10 and talk about it.
I was literally, when I went to the Capitol with like creator stuff, I was a really bad student. I was like wandering around, whatever. But literally, I was in Chuck Schumer's office and I went to his balcony and I was like, this is where they came over the wall. Like, all I could think about when I was there was January 6th. I was like, wow, it's a lot bigger than it looked on the TV on January 6th. And then I watched Hassan Piker did a thing with Summer Lee, and he did the same thing. He was in the hallway talking about January 6th. And I was
because it's crazy as hell. Like, it's crazy. I feel like we all moved on from that way too fast.
I think about it all the time. They wiped poop on the walls. Like, it's like my Roman Empire is January 6th in the sense that I can't stop thinking about it because, like, wow.
I get really weirdly patriotic about January 6th in the sense that that is the first time in our country's history that a Confederate flag made it into that building. And I find that to be, like,
wow,
disgusting and horrible. As someone from the South who has a deep knowledge of the Civil War and how fucked up it was, the fact that we went the whole Civil War with that flag never entering our nation's capital and then it did that day, that just, like, ugh. To me, obviously people that were, like, injured, that's not good, but that part is very much sticks to me.
Oh, man. Speaking of behaviors, January 6th. What a display of behaviors.
Those kids needed an SEL lesson. Like, if the January 6thers had gotten an SEL lesson, and you know what you kind of remind me of?
What?
You know when Lady Gaga was like, and I looked at the Capitol for evidence?
Literally.
That's you.
Yes, it is. I am so glad that I was doing my little gentle parenting skits at the time. January 6th, I was like, I gotta go make a video. I have to go make a video because it was perfect. I was like, this was a field trip gone horribly wrong.
I don't think I did. I don't think I talked about that on the internet. I was much newer on the internet. And I don't think I talked about it. I was doing a lot of, like, audios at that time.
Yeah. I mean, wow.
So let's talk about behavior R's.
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. This year, during state testing, I had this big stop-go sign that was red on one side, green on the other, to keep people from coming in the class during the middle of testing. It kept falling down as it was a massive sign, so it ended up in weird spots. One day, about 10 minutes out from dismissal, 4th grade, I was talking to this one student who hadn't done any work all day and was checking in and trying to reset for the next day. There was another student, Kid B, who was loitering near me behind my shoulder. And I love when you guys say, like, Kid A, Kid B.
Right, I love it.
Describe a 4th grader as loitering behind your shoulder.
I know. Oh, my God. I like, it's like that, the gif of On The Office where he's standing there and Angela comes up behind him and he's like, fuck.
I don't know, where was I? At the same time, I could see a commotion starting on the other side of the room. So I asked the ringleader, Kid A, to come over and stand next to me while I finished my convo. Kid A says so adamantly, no. I am baffled by this. Usually he's like, yeah, might be. So I was genuinely confused. And I so get that. Like, some behavior kids that you have when you're like, dude, they're like, you're right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like, that to me is the most manageable student behavior archetype.
Yes.
Is the self-aware student behavior archetype.
Yes, it really does help. I know there's a point where, like, you grow up and you become an adult and you learn a little bit of therapy speak. And it's like, that doesn't absolve you. This scenario, it's like, yes.
Yes.
And keep it pushing.
So I was genuinely confused. I asked probably 3 more times. Each time he's saying no, more and more sure, and kind of looking over my shoulder. And I'll be honest, I got very righteous, like pointing my finger, threatening to take away recess, the whole ridiculous 9 yards. Self-aware queen.
Yeah.
I was about to go absolutely crazy and walk this kid out to his family at dismissal and tell them exactly what was going on, that level of upset. Then all of a sudden he says, sure, I'll come over there. Of course, I'm confused. I look behind me and Kid B had the freaking stop go sign, giant BTW, the size of a real stop sign, behind my head. He had turned it to go at my last request. Kid B was pulling the strings for Kid A. They're both really smart, so it totally tracks for them. This made me laugh so hard in class, I immediately deflated and was honestly proud of how well he stuck to the bit. This is funny.
That's a good one.
This is funny. That was the perfect start because that's funny. Like, they really got you, and I love that you were big enough to be like, you got me.
That's
like,
really funny. I love, like, a genuinely funny moment in school.
And I knew people were going to submit some that are genuinely, like, that's like, No one got hurt. No one.
Yeah.
Like, that is funny.
I mean, it's really interesting too, because of course that's during testing, because it's the springtime
and you're stressed.
But it's like you're stressed and you needed that relief, but also you've known the kids for so long. Like after you come back from winter break, and you're like, wow, we like, you start to get nostalgic by the end of the year. I don't know.
I get so sad at the end of the year. I get so depressed at the end of the year, especially because the thing that I'm really jealous of with elementary teachers is you guys get to have like an end of the year party and you get like a really nice conclusion. And it's like, oh, we had this good year together. With high school, it's like they just taper off and stop showing up. So it just like the last week, there's like 4 of them and you're like, hey, like it's done. It's over.
Oh my God. What, you guys want to watch Cars again?
Yeah, and then we just watch Cars and clean out my classroom. And it's always... I always feel so bad because all the kids that have like cool parents after finals, when we have like the last week, because we do our finals like a full 2 weeks before the end of the year because they hate us, I think.
Yeah.
Like the last 2 weeks, the kids with cool parents, they're like, I already took my finals. They'll like let the kids stay home. But it's all the kids with like the super strict parents who are there till the last day. And like I was that kid, so I get it.
Yeah.
And they're like, hi. And then like one time this one kid was truly the last man standing. Like, it was just him, and he just wanted to go home. And I was like, do you want to call your mom? And then maybe I could just kind of, like, give her a vibe check of what's going on.
Yeah.
And he goes, she said that people died for education, and I will take advantage of every day.
Oh, yeah. We love that. That's true.
I love this kid's mom.
Oh, my
God. I just felt so
God.
bad for him because he was so bored. He was, like, the only kid there. And, like, everyone else was gone. Everyone else, like, grades had been posted. Like, it was bad. I felt so bad for him.
Oh, he just loves education because his mom makes him.
He
and the
does
government
not.
mandates him to be there. This one says a few things. This is a film teacher. Kid tells me at the end of the semester, I hate the class. It's boring. I don't like movies. It's a film analysis class. Honestly, I took a film analysis class. This may have been my teacher. Just kidding. Different kid earlier in the semester left the room without a word. I went to check on her, and she's talking to a paraprofessional. According to student, another teacher gave her a phone the day prior, and student already forgot the 4-digit code, which she claimed was the same digit 4 times. She was asking this random para in the hall to take the phone home and bring it to an Apple store to get it unlocked for her because she'd locked herself out. I ask if this is urgent and why she needs access to her new phone right now. And she says, because I'm bored. But why did another teacher give her a phone the day prior? Why are we giving kids phones?
I'm scared. This one's concerning.
I'm concerned, and also like what series of life events led to you thinking that you are important enough to ask a random adult in the hallway to take something to the Apple store for you? Like that's
very bold.
That's bold.
Like that's. I feel like this person teaches in like a rich tech bro community.
Literally,
and that was one of their children.
I need to.
That was Mark Zuckerberg's child.
I'm literally looking up where they work. We're in the LinkedIn of you. This person teaches.
Don't dox them.
Wait, I'm gonna get the demographics of this place because I think I know. Yeah. Okay, the median household income is $70,000. With an owner-occupied housing rate of 64.1, 55.8 students are white. So, I mean, it's pretty safe, but also it paints a certain picture. Okay, so lighter note, I started at the school towards the end of last year. 2 of the senior girls asked to watch Labyrinth and kept bringing up David Bowie's Bulge. Oh, we just pretend we don't hear certain things, I think. I think sometimes we're just like, I suddenly can't hear anything you're saying or understand English.
I love to hit with a, hey guys, isn't it crazy how there's a grown-up who's a mandated reporter 10 feet away from you? Let's all think about that.
Literally. Oh, God. This person says, I've been teaching in different schools since 2021, and it's insane how student behavior has changed in such a short time. If my state hadn't mandated bell-to-bell phone bans for next school year, I'd be a lot less optimistic right now. The phone addiction is dystopian, but I'm hopeful that motivation and curiosity will improve once they're unable to numb their minds with endless content. I heard you go while I was talking, and I'm just like, go ahead. We should talk phone ban.
Okay. I love a phone ban. Anytime someone's like, my district did a phone ban, and they say anything other than, and it's going fucking horribly, I'm just jealous. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
My district did a phone ban with 0 consequences, 0 structure, 0 resources, 0 buy-in, and 0 implementation. Perfect. And like, I don't do it as a sub. Like, I'm not, you guys pay me $25 an hour. Like, I'm not, no. But when I was teaching, it got so demoralizing to be the bad guy and the only teacher enforcing it. Yeah. Like, as much as I can say, like, oh, I don't care what they think, I don't care what they think. I'm surrounded by my students every day. So, to hear every day, you're the only one that does this, you're the only one that does this, you're the only one that does this. Mm-hmm. And I know they're not lying, because during my planning period, I would have to walk to the copy room, which was very, very far, and I would pass many classes on the way. I would say 60% of the rooms, every single kid is on their phone with headphones on the entire day.
That's not good.
So like, when I hear people, they're like, oh, we're doing a phone ban. Like, another teacher creator made a video that like honestly really upset me. Not like, they didn't upset me. I was just upset about my situation, where they were saying like, oh, my school did a phone ban and it's a revolutionary because kids are talking in the hallway again. And like, I'm just so jealous of people that work at a school where your leadership is competent enough and dedicated enough to actually implement that effectively, because I've seen how magical a phone ban can be within my classroom. And I can only imagine how good that shit hits when it's school wide and done well. And it just sucks to be the only person on an island enforcing it. So if you're watching this and you're on that island, I see you. And I also always make that kind of like, is because to me, the voice that I feel like never gets heard, and the thing that we never talk about, is I always see on the news politicians, all these people saying, oh, we should implement a phone ban. But if you're in a situation like me where like school site level people are not doing it, it does not matter at all what the board passes. It does not matter at all what state legislation passes. Like, you could literally pass legislation saying anything you want. If you do not have dedicated, effective administrators within the schools, none of that is going to happen. So any of my negativity is pure jealousy towards people with phone bans that work.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, people always say like, they need their phones for school shootings. And I'm like, actually, as a parent and as a teacher, I don't want my kids to have their phones if there's a school shooting.
It also can really interfere with like
everything.
The thing about emergencies is you have to have a communication plan, and everyone having a phone can lead to miscommunication and can lead to a false all clear.
Yeah. Or like people showing up at the fucking school and panicking and like it's a false alarm, like all these things.
Recently.
Like I am the most anxious person in the world. I have children that I'm a psycho about, but like, I don't think that's helpful, and it can't be like that's what everybody goes to. I think it's like a false
security blanket. I think having children and sending them out into the world is so terrifying that people are just grasping at straws for something that's going to make them feel better. So I have a lot of empathy for parents, because I have had a lot of parents push back against my phone ban. So I try and be very like empathetic about it and very kind. And I've mentioned this before, but in case anyone new is here, what I do for any parents that are like, I have to get in touch with my child. What if this? What if that? Yeah. I send them a picture and show them that the phones are still in my classroom. Yeah. And then I also give them the direct line to my classroom. I have never had anyone abuse that, but I have also always had very good relationships with parents. I've
Yeah.
never had a parent that was like super harassing me or blowing me up constantly. So like use your discretion with that. But every parent who I've given, here's the direct line to my classroom. You can call your child anytime you want. I've never had anyone abuse it. Maybe half of them used it once.
Yeah. And that's like I don't know. It's the security blanket piece that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Knowing that I can reach you if there's something happening. You know what I mean? Like, I know that.
The person I had that was the most stressed about it, I had their child in my class and they had already lost a child to gun violence. So I was like, obviously anything you want me to do, I'm probably going to do.
Yeah.
And even like with the amount of trauma her family had been through, she was very reasonable about it. And like with those things I mentioned, she was very grateful for that and did not call us every single 5 minutes or anything like that.
Yeah. And you made them be like, she knew that her baby was taken care of. And that's
exactly.
At the end
that's
of the day.
really, most people just want communication and validation at the end of the day.
But I didn't have phone. We had a phone ban when I was in school. We had laptops school wide. We weren't allowed, we were on AIM, but like we were not supposed to be. We had to hide our phones.
We had to hide our phones. It was very, very rare, occasionally once in a blue moon. I remember in 11th grade, we played Kahoot and it was like brand new.
Oh my God. I loved when Kahoot was brand new. It was revolutionary.
It really was. Do you want me to read one?
Yes.
This might not be what you're looking for. It is. But when people ask me what it's like to be a teacher, this has become my go-to story. Oh, I'm ready.
Excellent.
For context, I teach middle school RLA, and this year I had the most insane combination of students in my room. It was an inclusion class filled with EB. EB is emotional behavior, I believe. 504, that's a medical thing. And special ed, which is special ed. Students, and about 90% of the class was boys. Immediately no. Like, the other things, tough. 90% boys, immediately no.
Is it English bilingual or is it emotional behavior? What is it?
So I've never seen EB used. I have seen EBD, which is emotional behavior disturbed.
Yeah. And I have, in Texas, EB stands for emergent bilingual.
Oh, maybe it is emergent bilingual then.
Which we don't, that was the new term coming on the scene when I was there. We were supposed to say emergent bilingual because somebody yelled at me on TikTok about it. And I was like, I thought we were supposed
doesn't
to
that mean like
language learners?
Because it's like they're being bilingual. Like it's supposed to like de-center English, I guess.
I have actually no idea. I can hypothesize, but I don't know. But an EB student can, nope, that's separate. Okay, I don't know. EB students, indeed.
Maybe they're learning English. Maybe they're emotional. Maybe both.
Why not both? Yep,
it probably is emotional to learn English as a child. The rules are very confusing.
It's emotional when I try to learn a language. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
To this day, have never correctly diagrammed a sentence.
Oh my God, it's hard.
Every year from 3rd grade till 12th grade, every English teacher I had said, I will teach you. And all of them gave up.
And exactly. And that's why we're here today.
It doesn't make sense. I don't know what a preposition is, and I never will. Okay. So for context, I teach a middle school insane combo of students that we are unclear about. About 90% of the class is boys. Horrifying. And I want to go on record. 90% of the class being boys is the worst. I've taught a class that was only boys, and it was actually fine.
A couple of years in a row, I had 27 students, and I had 5 girls one year and 6 girls the other year. And I never thought that there were gender differences with behavior until then. And I don't know if it's socialized or innate, but it doesn't. It's there was something happening. I'm sorry to the woke agenda. You're gonna hate this. I had a class that was 22 boys and 4 girls, and I made Girl Island because the boys were being so awful to them. And I was like, you guys are not allowed to go to Girl Island. Stop. Because they would literally, when the girls would get not get distracted in a bad way, but when the girls were having a genuine human conversation, the boys would steal their packets to copy their answers. And I was like, leave them alone. Yeah, we had talked about it. I wasn't like, you are you have to sit on Girl Island. But I literally...
It was like Girl Refugee Island, actually.
They were allowed to have lunch in my room if they wanted to. They were whatever. There were always 1 or 2 boys that were cool that they were like, they can come, whatever.
Yeah, invite only.
But it really is a very important thing that they don't have to be in chaos all the time.
Yeah, because it's not fair to them to just be constantly disrupted and messed with. So the special ed students varied between students with ODD, which is oppositional defiance disorder, ODD, ADHD, autism. Their favorite hobby was roasting each other, but even though they could all dish it, not a single one of them could take the heat back.
Oh my God, yeah.
Anytime other teachers or admin heard who was in my room, they would wish me luck. My inclusion teacher, who was specially trained in special ed, like got her master's in it, even agreed with me that this was a rough mixture of kids. During a warm-up, this is what I heard student A say. Miss Student B called me sped. Now, student B was not wrong. Student A was sped. And I thought we weren't supposed to say sped.
It's interesting because when you're in a school, it's like if you're using it as an adjective, not good. But like a lot of people are like, I'm a sped teacher or like I work in sped. But then you get on the internet, you can't say that. Like you can't.
I always say special ed, like every time, unless I'm reading. I say
special education. I'm like, we are saying somebody was like, you can't say idea, you have to say IDEA, you have to say
fuck off. Post a video of yourself right now so they record, go live. Actually,
it's a lot, but I don't know, I never learned that in my like you don't say you're sped, like that's not right, that's
right
really fucked up. But like when I was in school getting like my certification, that's what we said sped department. I didn't have a certification when I started teaching, and my first year I worked at a high school, and the administrator was like walking me around and showing me everything, and they had a playground, and I was like, oh, do we do anything with the elementary school? Because the school was also right next to a community center, so I was like just trying to be like, why is this playground here? And he goes, oh, that's for those sped kids to play on. And I was like, no.
And I was like, what? And he goes, special education. And then he like explained like very coherently the science behind like play-based development that I was like, am I hallucinating?
So it was like heart's in the right place, but we just don't say that as an adjective anymore. I don't know.
I've heard, but then when I've been like, I thought we don't say that, people have been like, no, it's special education. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
So student B was not wrong. Student A was special education designated student. However, student B was also sped. Like his IEP was the longest one I'd ever had because of how many disabilities he'd had. And isn't that always the case? I've had a very similar scenario to this.
I don't think we can say that about their IEP. Are we going to get canceled for this?
I had a kid who didn't know that he got time and a half say, that dumbass gets time and a half.
Oh, dear. That's karmic.
And I said,
oh, no.
Because we praise publicly and we correct privately. I said, oh, come on. I would need to show you a document. And they are in high school. They are allowed to see their IEP, and a lot of them are allowed to be in the meeting. I did not do anything wrong, but I said, nope, come here. Yep. And I said, Diva, just because you don't use it doesn't mean that you don't have it.
Yeah. No, that's good. You need to, it's like, so funny you mentioned that.
I said, oh, thank you for bringing up time and a half. And also, for anyone that's overwhelmed by which kids get time and a half, which don't, maybe this is illegal. I let everyone have it.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
And I say, and again, these are high school students who are in either an inclusion or a gen ed class. I say, you are your advocate. If I ever forget, feel free to call me out. And if anyone here ever needs extra time, please let me know.
Yeah.
Because I simply cannot keep track. There are 100 of you.
Well, also, like, what a hill to die on.
The only time I do die on that hill, obviously not if there's an IEP, is with AP, because they do have a timed test. So, like, it would kind of be unethical for me to not be dying on it and just be like, yeah, Diva, all the time you need. And then you get to the important one and they're like, fuck you, 45 minutes, your computer locks.
Mine was always for, like, spelling tests. And I'm like, if a kid's having a mental breakdown about a spelling test, I'm going to let you go have some more time, baby. Like, that's fine.
So I go over to student B and have a one-on-one with him. The usual, hey, the expectation not only is to not be talking during the warm-up, but also more importantly, we're being respectful to each other. That's not something to make fun of someone for because being special ed is not a bad thing. Maybe I was in the wrong for what I did next, but I felt like I had to break the news to him. You qualify as special ed. No, miss, I just have ADHD. That doesn't make me sped. Ooh. Special ed is a wide umbrella that ADHD can fall under. Again, it's not a bad thing, but it was important to me that you know that. I did not feel like breaking down every part of his IEP, letting him know that it was not just his ADHD that qualified him for SPED, because he already seemed fairly distraught about learning that he was SPED. Anyway, he was deep in thought the rest of the class, and I have not heard him call anyone SPED ever again. I always find this situation so funny because of the irony, but also really sad. What do you mean that students don't realize that they aren't SPED? Why do they think they receive extra support? Do they think that all core classes just happen to have a teacher in there for support?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them do. And I'm very, very pro being super transparent and honest with children. I think that very young children should be included in their IEP meeting.
Yeah.
Like, I think that, to me, what's sad, and I think a lot of very well-intended parents, they don't want their child to feel different, so they don't want to tell them. But the thing is, they feel it. They feel it.
They do.
Whether you tell them or not. So to me, it's more empowering to just be like, I know you feel different, and like help them through that.
Yeah.
Rather than just gaslight them.
Yeah.
Personally.
I always say everybody needs something, but we don't all need the same thing, because I've always taught inclusion. So I've always had like IEPs in the class, 504s in the class, whatever, English language learners in the class. And like, it's true. Like, we all do need something, and it's not always the same thing. And you're not always going to have like the flexible seating that you want, because you don't need that. They need that. Like, it's just a matter of fact thing. And I think it's really interesting how, if kids have those types of things hidden from them, how it's like internal and lateral ableism shows up, where it's like, you are this, like, you're not any better.
Or like either that or like a very insecure self-hatred. Like,
well, that's what it is.
Like, I know I'm different. I don't know why I'm different. I feel so weird. No one understands me. I can't, like, why is it different? And like, I think kids are a lot more perceptive to that than a lot of parents realize.
Yeah.
And I love, like, your version was like so California and like very beautiful and kind, because like, and again, elementary, high school.
Yeah.
There was a while ago I was in a class and like I was subbing for the like special ed teacher who comes into an inclusion class. Mm-hmm. But obviously I don't know the kids' names. So when I'm in that situation, which is a fairly common situation I'm in, I'm relying on the gen ed teacher to be like, hey, so-and-so, 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 whatever. Mm-hmm. So what I was doing is I was taking a group of kids to the library because they were getting time and a half. And then one of the other kids was like angry about that, I guess. And so he was complaining to the teacher. And the teacher, the kids that I was taking to the library were already lined up in the hallway. So I don't think they heard this. The other teacher goes, hey, man, cut that shit out. He goes, those kids have like issues and shit, and we need to be sensitive to that. God didn't give you any issues, so you need to just shut up and get going on what you're doing and be kind to others.
I feel like that should be my bio on the internet.
Like, and I was like, you know what? I think we got there. Like, yeah, I was like, not probably the way I would have phrased it, but I think the message was there.
This is the thing. When people are like purity politicking it, I think they got their point across. Like, we don't need to police their language. Kill your inner cop.
The equivalent of when we were having... not a debate, because debate's not the right word. We were having a discussion about gender-neutral bathrooms in my school and how we could ensure safety for our students. And we were talking about the logistics of that. Mm-hmm. Like, our school is old. We don't have gender-neutral bathrooms. What will we, like, should we move forward? And some people were like, the way we do it at our school is they're allowed to use the any like non-binary or transgender students who have expressed to us like, hey, I don't feel good about my bathroom situation. They get access to like the single stall bathroom in a counselor's office. And at first some people were like, that's so far, they're gonna miss class time, whatever. And again, it was like an older man. I work with a lot of men. I think those little gay, queer, trans, whatever kids should feel fine being who they are.
That's right.
It's like,
Happy Pride.
Yeah.
Ally. I mean, yeah, it's that simple. And like, it really is. That's what, I mean, we let kids say things that simply. So like, if he's 80 years old and he's, you know,
he's like, he goes, I think those boys in those crop tops. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, you had it. Stop.
Don't push your fucking luck, dude. I mean, yeah, it's, God in heaven above.
So do we think that this behavior was funny, bad, or concerning?
I think it's bad. I hated that.
Yeah, I do think it's bad. I think you handled it pretty well, all things considered, but this is bad, and I think I'm blaming the parents on that one.
Well, yeah, because
I'm blaming
it reveals
the parents.
A lot of stuff.
It does.
You shouldn't be so. I have a family member. Her daughter has a skin tag on her ear and had it removed when she turned 2. My daughter, W, has the same skin tag. And that little girl came up to my daughter, her cousin, and was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, you had one. The mom cuts me off and goes, And I was like, what? We haven't told her. And I'm like, a skin tag?
It's a skin tag. Like,
a skin tag? Well, she's really perceptive to like differences. Okay, so
yeah, clearly.
So you
derogatorily.
Her, then come to find out, this person's other daughter has 11 toes. 2 of them are fused together. She didn't ever notice that her daughter had 11 toes.
Isn't that like the joke? Oh, 10 fingers and 10 toes. Like, isn't that like a thing isn't that like, aren't you supposed to check that first?
Listen, look inward or you might find out that your kid has 11 toes and you never even noticed. Okay? Unpack that. That's my new metaphor.
Have you seen Parks and Rec?
No, I should.
There's this one scene where Ron Swanson goes, the number of toes I do or do not have is no one's business but mine.
Exactly. Mind your own toes as well. So I taught for 1 year in one of the only MAGA red towns in Massachusetts. It was a year of hell, and I pieced the fuck out after 1 year. I taught 6th to 8th grade STEM that was required, but they didn't need it to pass, so a lot of the students just didn't care. I have tons of stories, including one student sleeping high on a table in the computer lab, and then when I woke him up, he had serial killer eyes. I would love to know what that means. But the student that really solidified me leaving, let's call him Jaden with a Y, hated me. Not just normal middle schooler hate. He was failing my class because he had like 5 zeros and he thought it was my fault. One day, he snuck into my classroom, no idea when, and stole a rubber duck I had on my desk. I realized it was missing and was like, whatever, I'm annoyed, but kids can do that, whatever. Later that day, I found said duck back on my desk, but now with its head cut off with blood drawn on it and red paper colored with Sharpie. I immediately knew it was him, and another teacher confirmed it because he was doing it during class and she just assumed it was him being weird. A good, fair assumption. I think he was just, yep. Got on there. There was also a note calling me a bitch. He got 3 days suspension for a threat. I told admin I would not be returning if he was still my student. Thankfully, they listened. He did end up getting suspended for 3 weeks because he created a text thread threatening the black students with obscene language and racial slurs. The rest of the year, he'd pass me and give me a crazy look. Not sure what he's doing now, but I'm sure it isn't anything too great. And here is the duck.
The duck is like a canary in a coal mine for this kid. And then like the racial hatred came swiftly afterwards.
That is actually
and that's like
crazy.
One of the number one things that's like get your child to a psychiatrist immediately is if they are harming animals intentionally. I wonder where a rubber duck falls in that.
I mean, if my child made that, they would be in the therapist's office so fast their head would spin.
Yeah. That's disturbing. Like,
that
actually.
Is scary as shit.
That one's concerning. I'm voting concerning.
Concerning. 2 votes for concerning.
Yes.
Wow. There's another concerning one about animals. Should I read it or you want to read it?
I can read it. What's the title of it?
Rest in peace, baby birds.
Oh, no. Student would throw rocks at bird's nest. When the mama bird would fly away. This is insane. I'm scared. This is way worse than I thought it was going to be. When the mama bird would fly away, the student would take the babies into the bathroom and attempt to flush them. We knew they flushed the babies down the toilet because it would clog, and maintenance snaked the drain and found them. Additionally, the bathroom would flood. The student tried this so many times that it flooded the hallway and happened multiple times. Who do you fucking call for that? Because obviously you call the parents, but I imagine if a child is doing this, they're doing it at home and the parents aren't taking it seriously. You know what I mean? Like, this is rarely strike one to be this intense.
I am speechless.
Who would I call?
An exorcist? I don't know. I mean,
Like
I would.
CP, yeah?
We would be at the guidance center. I would be like, here's the number for the guidance
Dalai
center.
Lama? Like, literally anyone.
I don't know if you guys, like, the guidance center is a universal thing, but there's like a thing, an organization thing that like has all these resources for people.
Oh, I thought you meant literally like the guidance counselor's office, because I was like, I don't think mine
it's like a county or citywide thing, and you like have a phone number, and you're like, they have all the resources you need. They have social workers and whatever. You're going and getting, everybody is going to find out what to do with you.
I love California because in the South, there's one number, and when you call, they're like, were the bruises visible?
Oh my God. It's called, what is it? It's just called the Guidance Center. I thought maybe that was the thing that we just said, but no, that's yep. Anyways, but no, they'll just like give you stuff.
That's insane. That's so concerning. I kind of want you to send us a new follow-up being like, what did you guys do about that?
That is crazy.
Actually, okay, I think I know what I would do.
Okay.
If I was the teacher, you only have so much power because my plan would require admin intervention.
Okay.
So let's say I'm the admin and the teacher's like, hey, this happened. What do we do? Uh-huh. I think we do not call the parents right away. I think we call the district or school psychologist first. Uh-huh. Then we call the parents in and say, we need to have a meeting with you about an incident. Uh-huh. And then we have the psychologist explain it.
Okay, I love it.
That's where I think you go from there. And then depending on how the parents react, move from there.
Wow.
Because like that, I agree. Like that is like, we need a psychologist here yesterday. That is so, so disturbing. If it was just the rocks, I would be like, that's not good, but it could just be they're confused and misunderstanding. That's not good. But if like you explain to them, hey, that bird can die, and then they stop doing it, I'm not that concerned about that child.
Yeah.
But the picking of the birds and the flushing.
That is crazy.
What do you,
I mean, I was just looking up, because we really do. We have the regional center and then we have the guidance center. Why don't we, like, those are not descript names. I have questions, but anyways, that's who I would call, because that's exactly what I would do is, you know, what are you going to do? Professionals. Hello.
I would call Joe Frost. Do you know who that is? The super nanny lady?
Oh my God, you love her.
I am obsessed with her. I used to watch her show when I was a kid. I'm deeply, deeply obsessed with her. She is my career icon. And a lot of people don't know this about her. One of my favorite things about her is she is a staunch advocate against spanking.
Yeah.
And she has only given up on one family ever. And it is because the dad said he would stop spanking his children. And then the crew said he lied to you and we caught it. And that is the only family she has ever been like, I will not work with you.
Yeah. That's horrible.
I love her because she's a genius. I don't want to end on the bird one, so I'm reading another one.
Read another one.
This one is titled Sauce Packets. So if it's disturbing, sorry, but I just felt like that would be a good direction to go.
Cleanser.
Hello, my beautiful TQT gals. This past semester, I was long-term subbing a 6th grade English class. I was voluntold to watch all of the, quote, bad kids during field day while the rest of the grade went out to do the activity they'd earned.
Classic.
That is so being a sub.
Classic.
It's like everyone's having a party and you have to sub for the class that's not invited. Mm-hmm. Enjoy and explain to them why they're not. Bye.
Right. Have fun.
I was in charge of watching 4 children. Before our door was even shut for our wonderful time to start together, one of the students started exorcist style banging his head on the desk and screamed, "I don't want to be here."
Me either, baby. Me either.
Thankfully, an IS, intervention support, something
In school?
support, somebody, An IS was down the hall and heard him and took him down. Approximately 30 minutes later, another one of the students was eating Chick-fil-A sauce packets with his fingers and spreading it on the desk. Yes, a fully cognitive able 12-year-old was eating Chick-fil-A sauce packets with their fingers while they were supposed to be working on their field day alternative assignment. I reached out to the principal, and he then proceeded to ask me why and how the student obtained the said sauce packets instead of escorting him down to the office.
What do you mean, why and how?
Like, what, did the principal think you were going to be like, well, I gave him all 6 Chick-fil-A sauce packets. I never could have foreseen this.
I can't with these people. I can't.
This was just one of my many remarkable moments of my 7-month 6th grade ELA long-term placement. Thank you all for all that you do. I've missed the podcast so much. It's inspirational and helps me so much with my classroom.
We love you. We miss you too.
That one is like bad and funny. Like it's bad because like what the fuck? But like no one got hurt. It is a little funny that it's Chick-fil-A sauce packets and the way it was more than one.
These kids are going to send us all to an early grave. I'm telling you.
And that's so principled to be like, well, where did the Chick-fil-A sauce packets come from?
Like, what kind of question is that? What do you, like, that's not, I have notes.
The only better thing they could have said would have been like, did you try incorporating the Chick-fil-A sauce into the lesson to make it more engaging for him?
Can they complete their work with finger painting of the Chick-fil-A sauces?
You're like, no, only ketchup. The Chick-fil-A sauce is beige, so you can't see it well enough on the paper.
Exactly. Anyways, well,
thank you for submitting. We're sorry that late stage capitalism has driven a nationwide behavioral crisis in schools, but we are here for you.
we love you.
Mwah.
Mwah.